Los Angeles. It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Oh, my God.
And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Thank you for tuning in to the Tom Leykis Show. This is where America gets together to talk about the issues you really care about. It's a different kind of a radio talk program. We're the radio talk show that is not hosted by a right-wing wacko or a convicted felon. No. I am your host. Write down our toll-free telephone number. You're going to need it at 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. Thank you for tuning in. This story from the website of KNBC Television in Los Angeles. A Torrance man ordered to pay support for a child he maintains is not his son. Says he is a victim of paternity fraud and will not give up the fight to change the law. Taryn James, 34, says he has already given about $25,000 in child support to a woman for her 11-year-old son. A son he claims is not his. The woman, whose name has not been made public, I'd love to make her name public, identified James as the baby's father in 1992, but the Gulf War veteran denied paternity. This is a Gulf War veteran we're talking about here. The U.S. Navy vet admitted to what he called a 2-week fling with the woman, but he said it came a full year before the child's birth. I don't know of any woman with that long a pregnancy, he said in a phone interview. James tried to stop garnishment of his unemployment at a hearing before the California Unemployment Insurance Appeals Board, but Administrative Judge Michael Kurz said he could not overturn a decision by the Child Support Services Department. No one at the CSSD, Child Support Services Department, who was familiar with James's case could be reached. Although Kurz denied James's request, the judge in his decision wrote, "The evidence is overwhelming that Taryn James is a victim of fraud instigated by the woman." This is the judge who wrote this. He said, "This is one of the most unjust results a judge could render. But based on the laws on the books in California, there is no discretion to hold otherwise." So even the judge did not want to come down the side of this woman. Taryn James produced a DNA test and notarized testimony from the woman, clearing it. Yet the courts refused to set aside judgments obtained against him by the Los Angeles County District Attorney and the Child Support Services Department. Are you hearing this? He has a DNA test to prove he's not the father. The mother of the child wrote a notarized statement saying, he's not the father. He's not. Doesn't matter. He has to pay. James said that unless there was a legislative change, he could end up paying support until the boy is 23. "I'm so knocked down it's not funny," James said, but added that he is helping lead the charge for an assembly bill in California that could help reduce paternity fraud by making it easier for men to use DNA evidence to clear up cases against them. I might add that moron Gray Davis had a bill just like this one sitting in front of him when he was running for in the recall election. And he vetoed it. Yeah. Taryn James said, "I will get the laws changed somehow." James said his name was placed on the child's birth certificate without his consent while he was on his tour of duty, and said he thinks the woman's motivation was his military benefits. He said her father was in the Navy years ago and she knew about the benefits. Here I am in the Gulf War, and if I was killed, she could make a claim on a $200,000 life insurance policy on the child's behalf. He said the judgments have left him with almost nothing, that they have cost him $50,000, including his $24,000 military college stipend, which he said expired because he has spent the last 3 years fighting the paternity suit. Is that an amazing story? Well, joining us from Torrance is Taryn James. Taryn, thanks for being on with us.
Hello, Tom.
Hello. I was not surprised when I found out you were a listener.
Oh, can you believe this? That this is allowed to happen at this day in America?
Well, I can believe it because we've talked about this topic a billion times.
It's since I've started the group, it's worse than I ever imagined.
Now, you started a group. Tell us about that.
It's Veterans Fighting Paternity Fraud, but it's not just limited to veterans. It also covers veterans, military servicemen, because we're finding those are very good victims there, in the sense that they're a guaranteed check practically, and civilians. And
the military is very efficient at taking your benefits and doling them out to whatever chick announces that you're the father of a child.
Well, real quick, on the military's behalf, they were a lot kinder in the regards. They actually sent a letter of request for a paternity test that she failed to show up for. Child Support Services, you have to understand, I was served with someone else's court documentation.
What do you mean? Someone else was supposed to be served?
No, I was served with a court summons in someone else's name. I brought this to the Child Support Services attention. I was never served again. A year and 3 months later, they entered a default judgment against me. I never had my day in court.
So you never received any notice that there was anything going on?
From Child Support Services, no.
And when did you find out? How old was the child by the time you found out?
Oh.
What, 8?
It's such a wrecking story.
Well, how many years ago is it? Tell us that. How long have you been paying?
Oh, how long have I been paying? Since 96.
96.
Oh, and you'll love this part. They were collecting money for several years after 96, income tax returns, half my check, wage garnishments, all that stuff. And they're holding on to this money till 1999. There was about $9,000 in the account. And then they contact me and say, we can't even find her to give her the money. Do I know where she is?
Uh-huh. I'm sure that you would be just thrilled to help out on that.
Oh, I had no idea where her and her, at the time, husband disappeared to.
Mm-hmm.
She was dating a fellow during the term of the pregnancy, which we haven't ruled out as the father. And, upon me leaving the military and coming back home, she disappeared.
So do we know why the Child Support Services people came after you? Did she apply for government assistance, welfare, food stamps?
She applied for welfare, and they made her put a name down to get the benefits. And I'm looking at it right now, and she names me in the document, Taryn James, and then it goes on, that she signed this under penalty of perjury.
But it says here in the story that I just read that she provided notarized testimony saying you're not the father?
Oh, that's later on. Once we finally located her, once they, located her to give her the money, she contacted me. I got her to make good on her, on the blood test or DNA test today. And that was a notarized DNA test that I'm not the father. Then she ducked and dodged me again. I got legal representation, took it to court, and that's when I found out there's no way to get this case overturned, and the best I could do was to get her to sign a statement that she no longer wants child support, and in the statement she admits that, due to the DNA test, she realizes I'm not the father.
Now, you realize, Taryn, if you killed somebody...
Mm-hmm.
No, let's change that. If you were accused of killing somebody, and a jury believed that and put you in prison, and you were in prison for 50 years, and finally, somewhere along the way, somebody found blood samples and took a DNA test, and it turned out you were not the murderer, you'd get out of prison.
Right.
50 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But if you come up with a DNA test 2 years and 1 day in California after you were served with papers, that's it.
Exactly.
Done.
There's also another area that once a default, and you have to understand LA County has a 79% default rate, and LA County...
When you say LA County has a 79% default rate, that means that 79% of the parents are deadbeats?
No, not deadbeats. Didn't get their day in court.
Didn't get their day in court. Didn't get served.
79%.
79%.
By their own admission.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout California, it's a 73% default rate. That right there tells you something's wrong.
Have you contacted Governor Moron about this to see what he thinks on it?
Oh, I have contacted everybody in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I've even contacted the president. I've contacted the head of Child Support Services in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And their whole thing is what they hide behind, or what they're trying to hide behind, is best interest of the child.
Right.
We have members in the groups who are losing their homes which house their biological children. I have one member who can't come up with the $5,000 for his child's orthodontics works and braces. And it's going to this child that's not his. And he's on the verge of losing his home.
So they don't worry about the best interests of your real children. They're worried about the so-called best interests of the children that are born to chicks you banged one time 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that probably aren't even yours.
Right. And it's all about the money. Child Support Services, California, collects about $2.3 billion in collections. And they're generating interest off that money. The program is federally funded. They have no incentive for doing the right thing or correcting mistakes. It's all about the money. And then they're charging the victims 10% on their arrears. So whatever amount that they say you owe.
Even if they don't know they owe the money.
Mm-hmm. And the typical judgment, a person isn't aware of this, keeping in mind the 79% default rate. They're not aware of these judgments until years afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, you're 2 or 3 years in the hole. And
you're paying some huge rate of interest on your arrearages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's outrageous. I'm going to throw another figure at you. The American American Association of Blood Banks reports that out of 310,000 paternity tests given, 30% were not the biological father.
Mm-hmm.
That right there is it's unconscionable.
Well, I just don't understand why, if you have evidence, even 5 or 10 years later, that you're not the father. I mean, what this law encourages is women to lie for 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
If they can successfully lie for 24 months, then they're home free for the next 22, 23 years.
Right. Or if you're married, you're instantly stuck paying for someone else's child. So here's a life partner, if you will, who's gone behind your back, cheated on you, but because of the laws in California, because you were married, you are the legal father of that child.
Outrageous.
And that's instantaneously.
I would love to hear if there's anybody who supports the system as it currently exists, because clearly if this is the law, somebody supports it.
Well, if I read the comments right, we have NOW against this, the National Organization of Women. We have ACES against this, which is the Enforcement for Child Support. We have the Center for Youth Law, Los Angeles, is against us.
Yeah.
We have all these groups. We even have, and I don't mean this bad, we have a lesbian group, a Center for Lesbian Law or something like that against us.
Why do they even care?
That's what I'm trying to get a response from, to see what their stake or interest is in it. I mean, you go out there and you're called a sperm donor. You're called a deadbeat. It's like, excuse me, I'm in a relationship. I'm in a wonderful relationship. We would love to get married. But I will be damned if I'm going to let them drag, my significant others through the dirt like they've done to me.
Plus, then your child support will be based on her income and your income.
That's one possibility, right. Or
so the child support could be increased based on the fact that you marry somebody with an income.
Mm-hmm. And, Tom, I guarantee you 100%, had I not been in the military with the benefits, she would have never have thought of putting my name on the birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about it. They're locked into a contract. That's a guaranteed source of income. It's not like they can quit the job and go somewhere else. And everybody knows that the benefits are second to none.
Mm-hmm.
It's just outrageous what goes on. And the sad thing is, for years, I thought I was just one that slipped through the cracks. And then I start looking into it and researching it, and it goes deeper than you could imagine. There's one person that we know of that has a child and has a child support order against one man in Orange County, and then he came up to LA County for the same child and got a child support order for another man.
Yeah, it's legalized fraud.
Yeah, we have 58 states, so technically a person could go to all 58 counties, in Los Angeles, or in California.
Yes.
And a person could go, in theory, to every county and claim a different man in each county for the one child.
Amazing. It's an amazing story, Taryn. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with your telephone calls for Taryn James. Don't go anywhere.
Tom Leykis. Woof. Tom Leykis. Woof. 800 500 Tom.
Oh, the Tom Leykis Show. Want to speak to Tom?
It's the Tom Leykis Show.
Taryn James on the Tom Leykis Show. He is the president of Veterans Fighting Paternity Fraud, and he has gotten royally screwed. Let's say hi here to Joe on the Tom Leykis Show. Joe.
Hey, man. How's it going, Tom?
Okay.
Good. I had a question for your guest.
There's only one guest.
Yeah, for one guest? Okay. What's the guy's name again?
It's Taryn.
Taryn, sorry. I apologize. Hey, Taryn, why don't you go file an order to show cause against this female? Take her to mediation and get the support modified.
Well, you'd think that would work, but family law is a little bit different than any other area of law, unfortunately, and I kind of don't have that option. The only option I do have is, I can constantly spend the money for an attorney, which they are not cheap, especially when a final judgment like mine is entered. And
is there an order? Sorry to interrupt. Isn't there an order? Isn't there a court order against you? Because the Department of Child Support Services needs a document signed by a judge ordering them to garnish your wages. Mm-hmm. And do you know about that? Have you seen that document?
Yeah, I see it constantly, which you'd think they'd give me an opportunity to represent myself or make me knowledgeable about it. I find out about it a couple days before they clear out my checking and my savings. And because I've made the organization so big, last year they're doing it every other month.
Joe, thank you for the call. More of their guest, Taryn James, coming up toll-free at 1-800-5800-TOM. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. This is the Tom Leykis Show.
From Los Angeles, 1-800-5800-TOM. We are talking with Taryn James. He's formed a group. He's the president of Veterans Fighting Paternity Fraud. He himself is a victim, and there's nothing the state of California wants to do about it. George on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
George.
What's going on?
Okay.
All right. I just think this guy's a pussy.
Well, what makes me a pussy?
You sound like a pussy.
Well, okay. I'll remember that next time I go overseas and, defend my country. What did you do?
I don't know anything about it, Tom, but there has to be a way to, it's not even his child, you know what I mean, Frank?
And what you don't understand is that's the way the laws are. You really need to educate yourself on this. Any woman that thinks that you make more money or thinks that you have a dollar value can name you. Why do I have so many victims in my group? Why do I keep every time I go down to 600 Commonwealths, I meet on average 3 to 5 people every time I go down. Oh, okay. And that's all you have to say? Not impressed.
Apparently so. Okay, 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. This is Reagan on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Reagan.
Hi, Reagan.
Hi, Taryn. I wanted to know, Tom, you really wanted to release her name?
Well, is there any reason not to?
Well, we hadn't done it before, so if you really want it, I'll give it to you.
I see no reason not to. Again, we're not going to slander anybody here. If this is who it is, then go ahead.
Okay, her name is Tammy Christine Cooper Burton.
Now, was there a reason the name had not been released, for example, to KNBC TV or...
None whatsoever. We just were...
I mean, did they not want to release it, or did you not want to release it?
We were... I don't know. That'd be... I guess we were just being nice for a little while, and now it's just... And nobody really gave us a chance to release it either. So, thank you.
Now, is my understanding you're engaged to Taryn? Is that the deal?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, let me ask you this question. You're engaged. That means you plan to become married to him. You realize marrying him could expose you to paying her child support.
I do realize that.
And you don't care?
I do care, and that's why we haven't gotten married as of yet.
I think it's a very important thing to tell people, that you would get married.
Oh, we do.
We've known each other since, what, 94?
Yeah, we've known each other
out of the military.
Yeah, we've known each other since 94. We've been dating since 98. And believe me, I mean, we would have already gotten married a couple years ago, but that's...
Our lives are on hold. And it's just, we drive through the night. I'll get off work. We'll drive through the night to go to Sacramento to lobby and support bills for paternity fraud.
Mm-hmm.
Only to hop in the car and make that long drive from Sacramento back.
Mm-hmm. And that guy, the last caller that, was saying really mean things, he doesn't know anything. And, you know what, I really hope it never happens to him because, it's...
it's out there and it does exist. And it's
so easy to do it.
I mean, everyone thinks that the laws are fair and just and will protect them. I'm the biggest victim of that.
Mm-hmm.
Here I defended my country, believing in the system and justice. Well, look what it got me, an unfair child support order.
That you can't overturn and that you could be forced to pay until he's 23.
Well, who are, besides the now former governor of California, Gray Davis, most aptly named governor in California history, who are the politicians?
Sheila Kuehl.
Sheila Kuehl is the biggest one, is one of the biggest ones against us.
She won't even comment if you ask her about it.
She won't comment at all?
Not at all. There was just a big article in Reason Magazine. She was contacted several times, and she would not comment on paternity fraud.
Well, real quick, I'd like to quote on this letter here from Child Support...
Sheila Kuehl is a state assemblywoman, right?
Yes, I believe
she's a senator.
She's now state senator in California.
Yes, Santa Monica area.
Santa Monica, yeah.
Right, mm-hmm.
Now, I'd like to quote this thing. It says, because of the child support order found you to be the legal father by default of the child, it will be necessary for you to file a motion in court to address this issue of paternity. We apologize for any inconvenience. And I keep taking it to court. We've interviewed over 50 attorneys, and there's nothing we can do about it because the finality of judgment and the 6-month rule once the court order has gone into effect, and the 2-year policy of contesting the birth certificate or paternity of the birth. Keep in mind,
Which you can't do if you don't know the child exists.
Right, and I was doing drug operations in Panama. Sorry, a little busy on a ship.
And, of course, the president had nothing to say about it. The governor had nothing to say about it.
Actually, it was the vice president that first called it paternity fraud for us. We only got one nice letter, but it was basically that there's other things going on.
Right.
So, but no help, but hey, thanks for letting us know.
Right.
And we're still waiting to hear back from Governor Schwarzenegger.
And the former state assemblyman, Rod Wright, who wrote the bill that was vetoed by the former governor, well, he's not an assemblyman anymore.
No, he's not.
So...
And that's the biggest thing. Call your assemblyman, call your senator and say it's not right. Do something.
Unfortunately, the people in the age group that are likely to be victims, like you, Taryn, and Reagan, they are the people least likely to vote or write a letter to anybody. So, yeah, that's the problem.
That's another issue.
Because the people who do most of the voting and participating, they have no eggs to drop. They have no sperm count left, and therefore it's not their problem.
That's why we're trying to hit the younger group. We're actually trying to get onto the college campuses. We're trying to get into the high schools and start saying stuff now. And
so
starting
it
to tell them
later.
So it doesn't affect them later. We're trying like crazy.
Yeah. Unbelievable. All right, Reagan, thank you very much for checking in. And we'll continue with Taryn James and more of your telephone calls.
Tom Leykis.
1-800-5800-TOM.
Tom Leykis.
1-800-5800-866.
Excuse me while I scratch my balls.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Tom Leykis Show. Our guest, Taryn James, president of Veterans Fighting Paternity Fraud. At the end of the hour, we'll tell you how to get in touch with Taryn. See his website. It's coming up at the end of this hour. On the Tom Leykis Show, this is Mike. Hello.
Yeah, my question is actually for those guys out there that actually are single parents, and for the women that will not support their own children, as far as, or even the government agencies that won't even go after those women. Yeah. Because I am one that does that. I am a single father of a 6-year-old little girl, and my ex-wife she doesn't get her paycheck garnished, she doesn't get her license suspended, but the government agencies will go after a man in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah. We actually plan on setting up a second division to address that issue, because that's one of the things I've just been informed about in the past year, is that's more and more common. There's also one other thing you can do on top of contacting your senator and assemblyman, and that's to support the NCFM, the National Coalition of Free Men. They're working right now to get a men's chapters department in Los Angeles County, like they have a women's department, to hash out and argue and fight for the rights of men, and just to bring some equality all the way around. It shouldn't be just one-sided.
Right. The one way I went about it is my attorney that I had during this whole thing, because at one point in time, yes, there was the part where I was the one that was in back child support, and I didn't even know about it until it was too late, and then I had to catch up on all that back child support, and then I went back to court, had it amended, fought it, and actually gained custody.
Well, that's incredible.
Yeah, and then the fact is now that I had my license suspended, I had my paychecks garnished. Now I want the roles reversed to see, hey, look, this isn't exactly a fun thing to deal with when you're,
And real quick, that's how I found out about my judgment, was my driver, DMV notified my license was being suspended, failure to pay child support, and that's when I went, hey, what's going on here?
Exactly. And then you go, well, wait a minute, where'd this come from?
Right.
And then it's too late before you even actually can do something about it.
Exactly, and that's the message we're trying to get out there.
And what I'm concerned about is the fact is, why won't they go about this as far as non-sexist? In my opinion, I think it's very sexist, the fact that they'll go after a man quicker than they would a woman.
Well, the judge that wrote in on my case when I challenged that in the unemployment, he actually writes in there that there is let's see, I'm looking it over real quick, and that there's actually an anti-male prejudice at work.
We got a lot of emails of that very document, as a matter of fact, from a lot of different people.
Oh, it's sent a shockwave. I mean, it's been one of the best things we've gotten through, and it finally shows that this is going on. I mean, imagine to be a judge, to have that power, and go, look, you're in the right, you've got the evidence, and my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do. And he apologized to me. He was the nicest judge I've had so far.
Boy, well, he certainly seemed to be on your side, even though he couldn't do anything. Michael, hello.
Hey, how you doing, Tom?
Okay.
Good. Taryn, man, I don't understand how you can't go into court and file a motion to overturn the judgment against you.
Well, I did that on the basis that I wasn't served, and it did.
How did they claim they served you?
Personal service, or actually substitute service. The paperwork's written kind of funny. I interrogated the person. All of his information was incorrect, named the wrong house, everything was wrong, and the judge still upheld the order. And you have to keep in mind that there's a separate courthouse, 600 Commonwealth, that these are heard on. I live in Torrance. I have a beautiful courthouse less than 2 miles away from me. Here they've taken my driver's license, and I have to travel all the way down to downtown Los Angeles. And that's where the bias comes in.
Wait, they took your driver's license?
That's how I found out about this.
Why did they take your driver's license?
Failure to pay child support.
Wow.
And even now you can't go back into court. You should be able to file an OSC. I've done it several times. You don't need an attorney to file an OSC to modify the child support order. I know that for a fact. I've been dealing with my ex for a long time.
I've interviewed over 50 attorneys on my case, And there is nothing that they've been able to clue me in, or they won't even take my money. The case is so bad to try and get me. They said,
wait, an attorney won't take your money? Come on.
I had an attorney waive the $50 consultation resort. I'm sorry, but because of the way the current laws are, there's nothing I can do for you, and I don't feel right about taking the consultation fee.
I know what you're saying. I just find it hard to believe because I've seen it. I've worked in the court system.
Well,
if you file the paperwork, judges generally have no problem overturning judgments that they feel weren't entered correctly because it makes the whole system look like it's not working.
Child support services, if the judges aren't getting the numbers in, they'll actually be transferred. There's actually a judge that was complaining about being transferred like that and getting a really cruddy desk job. And it's all about the money. You have to understand that this is a federally funded program, and if they don't have the numbers, they don't get the funding, and we're talking millions.
Right, so they'll take innocent bystanders or anybody they can get. They take their money so they can get matching funds from the federal government.
Right. I mean, where else in law do you have a 79% default rate?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Michael, thank you for the call.
Tom Leykis.
Come on.
1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866.
Being a man, having an orgasm is like taking a whiz. And for women, I think having a kid is like taking a dump. Okay, now let's just face facts. This is basic human desire, need, feelings, biology, all that.
The Tom Leykis Show.
The Tom Leykis Show. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number with Karen James, the president of Veterans Fighting Paternity Fraud. This is Darren on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello, Tom. Love your show.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point out one more issue that, in my opinion, points out that there's a gender bias in going after people for paternity suits. And in Washington State, now when you get a hunting or fishing license, you have to supply them with your Social Security number. And I don't know if they're rejecting whether you get a license or not, but I think they're trying to locate men utilizing that process.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it gets worse than that. They're trying to enter legislation where they can boot your car after $2,500 in the rears, or denial of passport. For a military person, that's you can kill someone because you don't want to flash your military ID when you go overseas. You want to use your passport. And that's putting our servicemen in jeopardy. But yeah, they're changing the laws all the time, and you have to keep up on them. And also on something else that someone else brought up, as far as getting the payments reduced and different things, you really do have to be careful about what you do in the court system because it could be looked upon as an admission of guilt by getting the payments reduced and different things.
What about voluntarily paying? Some guys just don't wait for any papers to be filed; they just start paying. What about that?
Child support. Well, that's the thing. That's the lack of information. And the best thing is arm yourself with the information. Like I was quoting, the 310,000 paternity tests, and 30% were not the biological father. Go out, get the DNA test, whether you think so or not. There's nothing to worry about if it's all correct and true. I also want to put out there that Child Support Services has changed the rules. They now have what's called a POP deck, a Declaration of Paternity. You have to sign this if you're unmarried before the name could be placed on the birth certificate, and in doing so, DNA won't even save you.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And they're paying the hospitals $10 each one that's filled out. And our records...
never voluntarily sign that, never.
Not without a DNA test. Find the information first, get the test, inform yourself.
I've also told guys that I don't care how much it makes her scream.
Mm-hmm.
You should demand a DNA test whether you're married or single or whatever. Just demand it.
Mm-hmm.
And if she says no, then get the sample from the child yourself and do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, again, finding out the figures. Reagan and I are actually going to start a family tree backed up by DNA tests.
Very good. Now, Taryn, tell people how they can get in touch with you, your organization, and your website.
Oh, okay. Best way is email. It's vets, VETS, versus VS, and the last two letters are PF as in paternity fraud at AOL.com. And the website is just a hometown page on AOL, and I'll give that to you in just one moment here. There we go. Okay. It's http://vets/pf at hometown, and that should be .html after that. We'll be turning that into a web page shortly.
We'll try to put that up on our website so people can link right into you. And is there a phone number or an address where people can get in touch with you as well?
I'll go ahead and give the P.O. box.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Post Office Box 4222, and that's Torrance, California, 90510.
Thank you very much for spending this time with us. We wish you the best of luck, Tara, and we're behind you.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Appreciate it. There goes Tara James. The group is called Veterans Fighting Paternity Fraud. Our email address is my name. It's Tom at blowmeuptom.com.
The Tom Leykis Show.
Write us, The Tom Leykis Show. Post Office Box 4455, Hollywood, California, 90078. Email us. Our email address is my name. It's Tom at blowmeuptom.com. Tom at blowmeuptom.com. We'll call our comment line. The number is 310-842-9592. From Los Angeles, it's the Tom Leykis Show.